Don Lemon, in regard to LeBron James in your interview, in regards to Oprah Winfrey, P. Diddy, any prominent black person in America, you have to realize, and this is something that even you don't address, Don Lemon, or any other prominent black person in social media or politically will address. You hide from it, you elude, you evade the main issue of the very subjects you're talking about: racism, bigotry, and discrimination by diseased European filth from Spain and England's royalty, and your neo-Nazi German, Russian mafia that holds no regards for any person of color. Let's just put that out there. And after you see this video, Don Lennon, you address that on your next show, because I watch you avidly, because you're one of the best informative talk shows out there. Not because you're a black man, only because you address subjects that the white talk shows don't, like your Cup of Joes, with that little conservative, pompous Oxford, Rutgers, college boy, egomaniac, arrogant, rich boy attitudes of down south cotton field money. Although I like Mika, but she's indicative too of a white man's society that limits a woman's voice, just as the way that he overtalks her live on TV all the time. Don Lemon, the very origin of this country, the very essence, the very fiber of what this country was built on racist bigotry. When this filth from Spain and England landed on America's shore, the Americans, not America, the Americas, where Native American Indians reside, and most part peaceful, civilized, honorable, civil people. Like aliens from another planet, with barbaric, heathen, uncivilized, animalistic mentality, agenda. They were attacked by a subculture of bottom feeders. And as many times I listen to a diverse variety of talk shows, even your redneck, Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazi Fox News idiots. Because I don't limit myself to people who just agree with me. I listen to the other side as well, as unintelligent they may seem. She looks at me like, who the fuck is you? No one is going to address the degree of racism and bigotry in this country. Y'all talk around it. And even black people in general will never talk about it to its entirety, because it's all about nowadays being politically correct. And the only person that really addressed it was people like Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Reverend Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson before he got whitewashed. Louis Farrakhan, to a point before he gets so caught up into his own self-preservation ego, addresses a lot of important aspects of the racist bigotry in this country. It all derives from one thing, and that's the American Native Indian. And you don't hear about that. You act like American Native Americans didn't even exist. When you talk about your racist bigotry, it's all about black people. Black lives matter. If they never invaded this country and genocide Native Americans, there wouldn't be no black people. Black people would still be over in Africa, in Portugal, on the slave boats that the kings and queens of Africa sent their asses to. Let's address that aspect. It all started with Native American Indians. And I'm not talking about slavery per se. I'm talking about racist, bigoted, inept, incest inbreeds from Spain and England. Just like the ones you call royalty, the ones you call kings and queens, the ones you hold in high regards as royalty, which is no more than the parasites and the scum of the earth. And that's from their religion all the way down to their way of life. Of pedophiles, child molesting, incest, inbred, perverts, sexual deviants, of sodomy. There's nothing so low they wouldn't go, because they feel their elite stolen money that they hide away into their catacombs, vaults that nobody knows about. Like your Vatican, like your Church of England, like your Rothschilds, Halliburton, Gates, Bilderbergs, Rockefellers, people that you never hear even on your show, Don Lemon. You'll never hear the Vatican. You guys talk about the Vatican. You guys talk about the Rothschild. You guys talk about the rich elite, which in all intents and purposes, even you know, run this country. Like the Wizard of Oz. You too, Don Lemon, paint this picture of Trump, which in all intents and purposes is a piece of low-life shit. We all know that. That's no secret. Never was a secret, never will be a secret. We all know he's scum and filth. That's something that's already been innately found decades and centuries ago, beginning with his daddy, who was nothing but a low-life scum extortionist, real estate fraud criminal, just like his uncle, who was a pimp, just like his grandfather, who was a draft dodger that got kicked out of Germany. The whole tax evasion, the whole money laundering, the whole running illegal businesses, undocumented workers, working with the mafia, working with any criminal element that they could profit from. So don't act like Trump is this innate anomaly that nobody knew about. It's just like the regular scum that made up your Constitution, that made up your preamble, that made up your flag, that made up your civil rights. Same scum. You think he's any different? No. What you people don't talk about is Native American Indians. And you want to bring up the word racism. You want to bring up the word bigotry. You want to bring up the word of uncivilized crime, but you talk about black people like we're innately and isolated as the only people who had been discriminated against or have faced racist bigotry. We haven't. What about the Irish? What about the Italians? What about the Chinese? What about the Japanese? What about the Haitians? What about the Dutch? Now, you want to confront racism. You first better begin with Native American Indians, which I'm part, because I won't let any one of you political talk hosts talk about discrimination against black people and you leave out Native American Indians. How in the hell can you do that? When they came with their terrorist, barbaric, heathenist boats filled with the gutter and alleyway trash from Spain and England, dumped on America's shores with your bureaucrats, plutocrats, and oligarchs, and steal a country. Not only steal a country, but the very people you discriminated against with your racist, bigoted, incest, inbred mentality, you genocide. And that wasn't enough, that you genocide. You had to put them on reservations of poverty, endless poverty for decades and centuries. Pumped it with a whole bunch of religious bullshit, alcoholism, drug addiction. Now you have casinos. Now you're running pipelines through their graveyards. No respect whatsoever. What's more discriminatory than that? What's more inhumane and uncivilized than that? After you massacred and slaughtered their men, women, and children, that you place them on reservations. And you act like this is your country. Tell me that. What's more discriminatory than that? Although you brought black people over here on slave ships, I don't know how many millions died on the voyage here. How many died in the backwoods of redneck, incest, inbred, neo-Nazi idiots down south in the cotton fields and on the plantations of inept idiots from old Southern money, mind you, that was stolen from the American Native Indians, North and South alike. When you talk about the discriminatory, racist bigotry in this country, talk about the Native American Indians, because that's where it all started. When they called these people savages. And they blamed them for all the raping of white women, all the fear mongering. Just like Trump with his inept, ignorant, illiterate mentality of people of color from Mexico. Rapists, criminals. Who's more fucking criminals than you assholes from Spain and England? Like your daddy, Trump, and his brother, and the whole Trump family. Criminals, calling other people criminals. And you think that with your stolen money, that you can hide your historical inhumane crimes by your stolen money that you hide behind, like the Vatican. That's the point that nobody talks about, even you, Don. When you talk about racist bigotry, systemic historical discrimination, oppression, suppression, you constantly leave out Native American Indians. You talk about black people like we're the only ones who face discrimination and bigotry and race. I'm sick and tired of hearing it. When you leave out Native Americans, who I went through much more than any black person. Any black person in America never faced the degree of discrimination and racist bigotry as Native American Indians. You're not living on reservations. No one tramples through your graveyards, disrespects the very heritage of your people. You're in the political arena. In fact, you're in some parts of the elite wealthy in America. How many Native American Indians do you see on Capitol Hill, in the White House? Because when you want to sit there and talk about LeBron James, in my personal opinion, I don't look up to none of them. LeBron James or any athlete or any black American actor, celebrity, with all intents and purposes, you're a white man's house niggas. Because they treat you just like they treat slaves. It's like on the football field. Run, nigger, run mentality. Let's tell it for what it is. Run, nigger, run mentality. Whether it's on baseball field, football fields, basketball fields, it's the run, nigger, run mentality. And we'll pay you money for it. Farrakhan talking about rich black people and that chitlin circuit. But what he doesn't even understand, the Vatican hated Islam and created their Muhammad that they celebrate. So in all intents and purposes, you're white men slaves too. Louis Farrakhan. So let's talk about true racism, Don Lemon. Let's talk about where it all began. And it began with Native Americans, not black people. I got double problems with white people, some white people. And I'm not talking about the population of white America. I'm talking about the diseased European barbaric heathens filth that came over here and genocide my people and stole their country and stole their wealth. And everything that you see in this country, everything that exists in this country is stolen. You possess nothing but the back alley gutter filth of royal Spain and England. The only thing that you brought over here. And somebody's tried to tell you you brought industry, you brought technology, you brought all this. You didn't bring shit. You brought barbaric, heathen, uncivilized filth. And you took it away from innocent men, women, and children that you slaughtered, raped, massacred, and genocide. When you start saying that, Don Lemon, then I'll start listening to you again. Told the truth of your existence. And if I did the inhumane crime, the uncivilized, barbaric, filthy crap that happened in this country, I wouldn't want to either. Because it's disgusting. It's immoral. It's unethical. The inhumane crimes that you profited from and still profit from over in the Middle East. And you do the same thing that you've done all your lives. You lied. Pathological lies. And you cover up your crimes. You cover up your thieves, piracy, barbaric, inhumane, uncivilized filth by stolen money. And people in Europe already know it. Because in some of the countries over there, they've done the same thing. So when anybody from now on, and I don't care what network you're on, I don't care what broadcast you're broadcasting from, what talk shows that you put your pathological lies agenda on. Anytime you begin to talk about racism again, unless you talk about Native American Indians, it's bullshit. Because you first have to address Native American Indians before you begin to talk about the subject of racism, bigotry, and discrimination, and oppression and suppression in this country. And you damn sure can't talk about no white woman. And you can't talk about a bunch of house niggas in white and Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill either, because you're not included in that. You damn sure ain't talking about black celebrities and actors in Hollywood, because you're not part of that either. Like your Ben Carsons, and your Omarosas, and your political house niggas that go up there and support your illegal immigrant mother, Trump pansies. You hide criminals, and you have the gall to talk about Mexicans. You have the gall to talk about Haitians. You have the gall to talk about people from other countries because they happen to be a different color than you are. Like you think that a white skin is something superior. It's not. If anything, it's inferior. And it always has proven that, because anything that you gain, you stole, like thieves and pirates and terrorists. You never work for shit. You steal. And you profit off of theft, massacre and slaughter and genocide, just like you're doing in the Middle East. This whole debacle, fabrication, another pathological lie of 9/11. And your Benghazis. And your Iran-Contra affairs. And your whole Vatican Jesuits of pathological lies, religious, sexual pervert, rapists, child molesters, pedophiles. Why you never bring them to justice? Why it's okay to run the streets and kill black people by the thousands, just like you killed Native Americans by the thousands, by the millions, like Wounded Knee. And how many times have you brought that up, Don Lemon, or any of you black political analysts? You constantly talk about black people as if we're the only ones that ever been enslaved, the only ones that ever suffered anything in America of discrimination. When the very fiber of this terrorist regime was a racist, bigoted invasion from the gutter filth of Spain and England. Bring that up, Don Lemon. Because I'm sick and tired. American lives matter. Because this is their fucking country. Understand that, Don Lemon. So you tell your LeBron James, you tell your Oprah Winfrey, your P. Diddy's, your Louis Farrakhan, shut the hell up. Because until you address Native American Indians, anything comes out of your mouth is bullshit. I'm out.